Hello, knowledge seekers. In this episode of 20-Minute Books, we dive into the influential insights of Made to Stick by Chip and Dan Heath, a riveting exploration of the science behind why certain ideas thrive in the public consciousness while others fade into obscurity. This book dissects the anatomy of ideas that stick and presents a practical framework for creating messages that are memorable, impactful, and effective. Authored by the acclaimed sibling duo Chip Heath, a professor of organizational behavior at Stanford University with credentials in industrial engineering and psychology, and Dan Heath, an esteemed academic, consultant, and innovative founder of ThinkWell, Made to Stick, delivers a blend of expertise and real-world applications. The book is an essential read, not just for advertisers, directors, and non-profit workers, but for anyone who has ever yearned to understand the dynamics of influence or to make their ideas resonate with a wider audience. Whether you're a professional aiming to sharpen your message, a student of communication, or simply a curious mind intrigued by the viral power of ideas, Made to Stick offers valuable insights that can transform the way you think and communicate in the endeavor to make your ideas last. Join us as we uncover the secrets that make some ideas unforgettable and learn how to apply these principles to your own ventures. Made to Stick: Why Some Ideas Survive and Others Die. Introduction: Unlocking the secret to making ideas stick. Why do some ideas flourish and others falter? You've likely noticed that the most groundbreaking concepts don't always get the limelight they deserve. Instead, they often go unrecognized, gathering dust in the corners of obscurity. At the same time, less substantial ideas, like rumors and myths, spread through the public consciousness with ease. Consider the Halloween candy scare that gripped the United States. Parents across the nation were terrified that their children's Halloween treats might be laced with poisons or sharp objects, despite there being no substantial evidence to support their fears. This urban legend clung to the public's mind with incredible tenacity. Ever wonder why certain tales, true or not, seem to take on a life of their own? The answer lies in their two common traits. They are unforgettable, and they trigger an almost irresistible urge to be shared. Surprisingly, any idea can be crafted to spark that same viral appeal, to become sticky. A prime example unfolded in America when health advocates sought to expose an alarming truth. Movie popcorn, cooked in coconut oil, was laden with dangerously high amounts of saturated fats. Just presenting the public with bland statistics, such as a medium-sized bag of popcorn having 37 grams of saturated fat, didn't resonate. It was too abstract, too detached from everyday experience. So the health crusaders switched gears. They crafted a narrative so vivid it couldn't be ignored. Imagine a single bucket of movie theater popcorn, not so innocuously butter-flavored, containing more artery-clogging fat than an entire day's worth of indulgence, a breakfast of bacon and eggs, a Big Mac with fries for lunch, and a full steak dinner with all the traditional sides. The combination of shock and simplicity made the message irresistible. It seared itself into the public consciousness and led to a triumphant outcome: major American cinema chains abandoning coconut oil for healthier alternatives. This is the power of a sticky idea: accessible, memorable, and transformative. Part 1. Embrace simplicity for unforgettable ideas. There's a common urge to pack every detail into the explanation of a new idea. We believe that a thorough exposition equates to clarity. Yet, paradoxically, when it comes to making ideas stick, simplicity reigns supreme. The intricate web of details often ensnares the core message, causing it to be lost in the tangle. To make an idea truly memorable, distill it to a single, potent statement. Cramming in additional details dilutes the message, much like adding water to paint. The color remains, but the vibrant intensity is gone. A simple core statement not only makes an idea easier to understand, but also far more likely to linger in the collective memory. Simplicity, however, should not be mistaken for oversimplification. The challenge lies in whittling down the idea to its essence without stripping away its meaning. This can be a delicate dance, but when mastered, it results in ideas that can easily be grasped and retold. Journalists live by this principle every day. They must distill complex stories into concise headlines that capture attention and encapsulate the narrative. They know too well that a poor headline can doom even the most compelling story to obscurity. One standout example hails from the airline industry. Southwest Airlines encapsulated their entire business philosophy in a simple, sticky slogan: "The low-fare airline." Such a concise, memorable statement encapsulates everything you need to know and clings to the mind. A detailed comparative analysis of ticket prices, no matter how comprehensive, would evaporate from memory without leaving an impression. In the economy of attention, simplicity is the currency of sticky ideas. Part 2. Catch the mind off guard with surprise. Our brain, always hunting for efficiency, loves to slip into cruise control. This autopilot function breezes through the routine, letting familiar sights and sounds blur into the background of our consciousness. It's the brain's energy-saving mode, and it allows the mundane to pass by unnoticed. But shake up the expected with a splash of the unforeseen, and the brain snaps to attention. Surprise disrupts the humdrum, forcing the brain into manual mode where it suddenly becomes receptive and alert. Consider a scene as routine as the inside of an airplane cabin. Seasoned travelers sit disengaged as the flight attendant begins the standard pre-flight safety spiel, a script etched into the minds of frequent flyers. But what if, amid the monotonous drone of seatbelt buckling and life jacket instructions, the attendant quips, "While there may be 50 ways to leave your lover, there's only one way off this plane." Heads would swivel, ears would perk up, and every passenger would hang on her next word. This illustrates how quickly routine drones into invisibility and how the unexpected can make people sit up and take note. When introduced with a twist of surprise, an idea grabs attention and glows with freshness. As it turns out, one of the secrets to making an idea sticky is to break the pattern that the audience anticipates, to capture their intrigue, and ensure the concept lingers long after the initial surprise has faded. Part 3. Igniting interest with the power of curiosity gaps. A gripping idea encounters two main hurdles: capturing attention and keeping it. This is where curiosity gaps shine as a potent tool, adept at vaulting both challenges. Daily routines typically lead people through life on a kind of autopilot, fueled by the notion that they already know everything necessary to navigate their days. But what happens when someone discovers a gap in their knowledge, a missing link in their understanding of something important? This is where curiosity gaps come into play. By revealing that there's something critical they don't know yet, people are shocked out of their mundane autopilot mode. They encounter a curiosity gap, a tantalizing void in their knowledge, and it's a void that commands to be filled. Even if the topic was previously off their radar, this gap sparks an almost irresistible need to know more. Take detective stories as an exemplary model. Through a sequence of gripping clues and misleading red herrings, they hook the reader, who becomes invested in solving the mystery themselves. This technique is so effective that it's not just reserved for novels. Celebrity gossip magazines frequently use curiosity gaps right on their covers, a strategy that has proven effective in driving up their sales. What's the key to filling this curiosity gap? Pursuing the rest of the story, of course. To generate a curiosity gap, the trigger must be something unforeseen. This is where astonishing facts or eye-opening statistics step in as powerful openers for pitches or presentations. When someone throws out a question like, "Why do a mere 40% of our customers account for just 10% of our total sales?" the audience is instantly hooked. They yearn to unravel the mystery behind the statement, and that yearning is precisely what makes the idea stick. It's embedded in their minds, and they're driven by a desire to discover more. Part 4. Concrete details make ideas unforgettable. It's human nature to gravitate towards abstraction when we communicate our ideas. The more deeply we understand a topic, the higher the likelihood we'll articulate it in abstract terms. It's often difficult for us to step into the listener's shoes and truly consider how our words are being interpreted from their perspective. There's a striking experiment that shows just how much this abstraction can impact communication. A listener tries to identify a well-known song simply by the rhythm of its taps. The person tapping, with the melody vividly playing inside their mind, far overestimates the listener's ability to recognize the tune. In reality, the listener guesses correctly a mere 2.5% of the time, even though the tapper assumes it to be 50%. This experiment highlights a fundamental disconnect. We forget that others might not share our depth of knowledge, whether that be the melody of a song we can hear or the finer details of our idea. When it comes to conveying messages, being abstract is akin to tapping out a tune. It's just as ineffective and leaves the listener guessing. Only by employing concrete and accessible language can we ensure our ideas are clearly understood. In verbal communication, examples and descriptive imagery serve as a bridge to understanding. Using concrete expressions not only makes an idea easier to grasp, but also more memorable. Consider the difference between saying a retail worker delivered outstanding customer service and describing the specific action. The worker gave a customer a refund for a shirt, even though it was purchased at a different store location. The latter sticks. Or take the classic fable of the fox. Forget about him altering his tastes to suit his means. Instead, imagine him convincing himself that the grapes just out of reach must be sour, far more vivid and sticky. The key is in the details. Paint the picture, share the story, give the specific example. The more tangible and richly painted the concept, the greater its staying power. Ideas become durable and transmissible when wrapped in the concrete fabric of descriptive language. Part 5. Believability is the backbone of a sticky idea. An idea's journey is cut short if it lacks believability. Without credibility, it's dead on arrival. Fortunately, there are tried and true ways to bolster an idea's trustworthiness. Traditionally, we turn to experts for verification, but expertise comes in many forms. Take, for instance, an anti-smoking campaign, highlighted by a woman barely out of her 20s. She started smoking at 10, and now, poised for a second lung transplant, she appears decades older. Her striking transformation is an expert testimony of its own, bearing the authentic weight of lived experience. People are drawn to stories of real individuals whose trustworthiness emerges not just from titles or degrees, but from their inherent authenticity. Yet another way to enhance the credibility of a story is through the strategic use of concrete facts and figures. Steer clear, however, of abstract statistics. They often confuse more than they clarify. Consider the stark image conjured by an anti-war campaign. The world's current nuclear arsenal carries 5,000 times the destructive force of the bomb that leveled Hiroshima. Here, the audience is given a tangible benchmark, the devastation at Hiroshima, that both informs and challenges them to fathom a force 5,000 times greater. It's a near impossible task, but that's precisely the point. The unimaginable scale drives home the campaign's message about the extremity of nuclear proliferation. And there's a bonus. By providing this stark comparison, the audience is now equipped with a potent statistic to share the message further. Yet sometimes the most compelling credibility comes not from outside experts but from the audience themselves. Consider Ronald Reagan's campaign question. Ask yourself, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? Suddenly, the audience is the reference point, lending a personal stamp of verification to the message. People often trust their own experiences over any expert advice. So, if your idea enables the audience to validate it through their own judgments and feelings, it gains an exceptional level of credibility. Part 6. Tap into the heart to move the masses. Let's consider the challenge of motivating people to contribute to famine relief. One path lays out a landscape of grim statistics, detailing the millions of children starving across Africa, along with the heart-wrenching count of daily deaths. The second zooms into a single vivid portrait of one child, emaciated, desperate for help, and within reach of salvation through a charitable donation. The first method summons the analytical mind. Faced with those staggering numbers, we might acknowledge the tragedy, but that recognition rarely nudges us from contemplation to action. However, when we're confronted with the image of an individual child, our emotional core is stirred. This lone, suffering figure is as credible as a sea of statistics, but crucially, it pulls at our heartstrings and compels us to act. Emotion, not reason, is often the catalyst for human action. When we feel, we move. When we analyze, we often remain static. If the objective is to inspire action, then the appeal must be emotional in nature. An anti-smoking campaign hits harder when it shows real human suffering brought on by tobacco, the ravaged bodies and shattered lives, rather than bombarding the audience with cold, hard data. When it's imperative for an idea to galvanize people into motion, remember, the heart is where you'll find the lever. Focus on striking those emotional chords and watch as the resonance spreads, creating waves of genuine, impassioned response. Part 7. Self-interest sparks the strongest call to action. The effectiveness of emotional appeals in motivating action is undeniable. We're inherently drawn to the human element more than the granular details of data. However, one particular interest holds the most power over our choices: self-interest. People instinctively wonder, what's in it for me, before undertaking any action that requires effort on their part. An appeal that answers this question by demonstrating a personal gain for the audience will have the greatest chance of success. When a company markets a new television, for instance, it's not enough to simply catalog its features. To truly engage potential buyers, the company must illustrate how these features will enhance the buyer's own lives. The buyer should be able to envision themselves comfortably curled up on their couch, sunk into their personal slice of entertainment heaven, thanks to these cutting-edge attributes. Let's take a look at a practical application of this strategy. In Texas, a campaign set out to curb littering among the youth. Rather than a typical environmental plea, the campaign invoked state pride with the slogan, "Don't mess with Texas." It featured well-known Texan celebrities and sports heroes, figures the youth admired and aspired to emulate. The underlying message catered to self-interest. By not littering, these young Texans aligned themselves with their idols, reinforcing their identity as true Texans. The campaign whispered a compelling answer to the "what's in it for me" question. Feel pride, be part of something, and connect with those you admire. It transformed a mundane environmental message into a personal badge of honor, showing how a well-crafted call to action can make the difference when it appeals to the individual's sense of self. Part 8. Stories weave ideas into the fabric of memory. Stories have a unique way of igniting our imaginations. They're pilots training in virtual cockpits, allowing us to experience and navigate hypothetical situations with heightened realism. In the rush to disseminate an idea, there's a common error where the narrative, the meat of the matter, is discarded in favor of a snappy slogan. Slogans may stick, true, but stories, they compel us to act. Consider the emblematic tale of Subway's famous patron, Jared Fogle. Morbidly obese, Fogle transformed his life and physique by dining exclusively on Subway sandwiches, dropping to a healthy weight. No array of slogans could achieve what Jared's narrative did. While each story is unique, they often dance along familiar beats. One such narrative pattern is the challenge, akin to David's triumph over Goliath. These underdog stories are magnetic. They propel people forward, inspired to emulate David's tenacity and spirit. Then there's the reaching out narrative, the Good Samaritan, who strides across the threshold of indifference to aid a stranger. Such tales instill in us the motivation to engage in acts of compassion and social good. And let's not forget the tales of creativity, where a moment of serendipity, like an apple's rendezvous with Newton's head, sparks groundbreaking thought, encouraging us to view our world through a different lens. Stories are more than just a sequence of events. They're a call to adventure, an invitation to see ourselves in the shoes of others, and they envelop ideas in a cloak of relatability, making them memorable, shareable, and deeply human. The most sticky ideas don't just sit in our minds, they take us on a journey. Final summary. At the heart of this exploration is the revelation that ideas, much like seeds, have the potential to root and thrive if only they're planted correctly. The recipe for success isn't shrouded in mystery, it's crystallized in the mnemonic success, capturing the 6 principles that give an idea its sticking power. Simplicity is your starting point. Unearth the core of your idea and present it in a way that's both straightforward and profound. Next, introduce the unexpected. Catch people off guard to ignite their curiosity and keep their eyes wide open. An idea must be concrete, tangible enough for people to latch onto and carry with them. Credibility lends your idea the wings of trustworthiness, making it a messenger that people believe and heed. Emotions are the invisible threads connecting an idea to its audience. Tug on those strings to establish a resonance that transcends the logical mind. Lastly, wrap your idea in the warm, familiar embrace of a story. Give it a narrative that people can step into, live within, and share fervently. The timeless spell of sticky ideas is woven with these strands. Whether in storytelling, campaigns, or presentations, success is the blueprint for ideas that don't just capture attention, but live on through the words and actions they inspire. Thank you for joining me today on this journey of learning and discovery as we explored the insights of another thought-provoking book in our growing library of knowledge. If you've enjoyed our time together, please take a moment to follow our podcast, give us a 5-star rating, and share 20-minute books with other knowledge seekers. Your support truly means a lot. Don't forget to join me again in the next episode, where we will delve into another enriching book. Until then, happy reading and happy listening.